Welcome to the Daily Influence, where our mission is to deliver a daily dose of positive influence that can uplift you personally or be shared within your sphere of influence. While not every episode may directly apply to your unique circumstances, we strive to provide insights and inspiration relevant to most people's daily, weekly, and monthly lives. Whether you are tuning in during the morning, noon, or night, the Daily Influence is here for you. Listen, share, and embrace the power of influence in your life. Hey everybody, Brian Smith here with the Daily Influence, and we are going to continue down the path of our foundation and start to tackle one of the key foundational issues that we all have, which is habits. And habits are unique to each of us individually, but they're common to all of us as a species. We all have habits, and the habits we have are far and wide. There are good habits and bad habits. There's habits of every shape and size that go from the way we speak to the way we act, to the tics we have, to the things we do day in and day out. And part of our foundation is defined, or at least partially defined, by those habits. And some of those habits are physical. Things like biting nails, skin picking, hair pulling, twirling. Those are things that are called focused repetitive behaviors or body-focused repetitive behaviors. And I often wonder, and I'm sure I know the answer to this, but right now my mind is a little blank, is if those are genetic, are they learned, are they a little of both? Renee and I both have some of those habits. And you might say, well, what's the big deal if you bite your nails or pick your skin or twirl your hair? Well, generally speaking, probably not a whole lot. It's very personal to you. But in my world, if you have fingers that are picked and skin that is loose or you're bleeding, it can be a little unsightly. It can be a little embarrassing. And believe it or not, you can be judged by others if you got your finger in your mouth all the time, chewing on your nails or picking your skin. And the worst part of it is, or it's not worse, but the scary part of it is you might not even know you're doing it. And so some habits are so ingrained with us that they're like that comfortable focus we talked about many episodes ago, where we're blind to what's going on and we don't even realize what it is we're doing until after it's done. And a lot of habits are that way. There's a lot of other habits. There's societal or regional or learned habits from the behaviors of our parents or our friends or something like that. And I have a funny story about that one, and I'll pick on Renee a little bit, is when we were first going out, Renee had the habit of saying the word whatnot all the time. And she would talk and she would say something like, well, I went to the store and whatnot, and then I was going down the aisle and picked out something to eat, whatnot. And she would say it over and over and over again. And quite honestly, I really never thought much of it. I never really thought it negative, positive, or anything. It was just part of who she was, and it was part of my own comfortable focus in dealing with her. I never picked up the habit. I never mimicked it, but I never really thought about it. And then we got married and we did a video, and I carried the camera and Renee described the boat that we were on to everybody that would view this video of our honeymoon. And we were watching it at home after our honeymoon, and she heard herself say whatnot on the camera. She has never said that word again. In fact, if I tell her about this story, or if she listens or is listening now to this podcast, it'll make her cringe. She doesn't like it. She was so put off by seeing herself use that word so much in her dialogue during that video that she never said the word again. Some habits, you don't even realize you have them until they point them out. And that's part of what we're going to talk about as part of our foundation, is slowing down, being self-aware of our habits can be really important. It changed Renee. It made her feel better about herself. It made her change something that she didn't like. The funny thing is she didn't even know she didn't like it because she didn't know she did it. But once she saw it, she wanted to change it. And that's the opportunity we get from self-awareness, from understanding our foundation, and from paying attention to ourselves. And then being non-judgmental, like we talked about in the last episode. Understanding habits can help us solve those things in our life that we wish to change. And the only way to change those things is to become self-aware. And sometimes we have to develop new habits. And you got to be committed to new habits, because developing new habits can be just as difficult as getting rid of old habits. If we do something for 3 to 6 weeks, generally it will become a habit. If you can repeat something consistently over a period of time, usually 3 to 6 weeks, then you can count on it having a really high degree of success becoming a new habit. And that doesn't necessarily mean good or bad. It just means what it is. You can also develop bad habits in that amount of time. But doing something consistently can help you to change. So if you know of something in your life you want to change, or there's a habit that you want to develop, a new positive habit, a new trait, a new thing that you want to do, you're going to have to commit to it. You're going to have to become self-aware of it. You're going to have to slow down, and you're going to have to do it over and over and over again until it becomes part of you and becomes almost a comfortable focus. When we identify the unique habits of ourselves, it's powerful, but also others. You might have others around you that have habits, good and bad. The good ones you can complement, you can mimic, you can build on. The bad ones, maybe if they're negative, not just to that person, but to others, maybe in an organization or in a friend group or in a family group, you can identify them and have objective, non-judgmental discussions with people and help them to overcome whatever the challenge is and change whatever it is maybe that you think needs to be changed. And by the way, I want to scratch that, improve. I like to use the word improve instead of change. In my business, I oftentimes come across companies that have no policies and procedures. What they have are habits. You ask them, well, why do you do this that way? Why do you talk to people the way you do? Why do you treat people the way you do? Why do you have your customers do this or your vendors do that? And they'll tell you, well, that's just the way we've always done it. Well, that's a habit. If they don't have it written down in a policy and procedure, all it really is just a habit. It's a habit of way that they behave in situations within your company. So you can develop bad habits in your company too. You can have bad habits in the way that you behave around other people. You can have bad habits in the way you do your job, the way you do accounting, or the way that you write, or habits can become any part of your life, not just biting nails or saying words. So that's why become self-aware and understanding our foundation can help us overcome these. Finding ways to become consistent in a positive way, overcoming, improving these areas of our life where these habits have formed that might be detrimental to our opportunities or our advantages or our success are really important. Understanding habits, understanding how we as humans employ habits and use habits can be really powerful to moving us forward, to moving what we want towards our goals better, in a more efficient and in a more positive way. These patterns, habits, when identified and understood as part of our foundation, can be very powerful. I would urge you to slow down, become self-aware. Don't be judgmental. Just be pragmatic, be objective. Look at the habits in your life. Look at the patterns. Look at the way you're doing things. Look at the way others influence you with their habits. And use that information for your advantage and your opportunity to be your best self for others. Our takeaways on habits today are understanding your habits. You can begin to solve some of the issues in your life by replacing habits that you deem negative with more positive ones. Working to replace negative habits with positive habits can create new opportunities and advantages. You can make things better. You can maybe change the direction of something that hasn't been going well. But habits can help you to pivot to improve. And finally, habits are a lot like comfortable focus. You might not know, you become numb to what our habits are. And when you become numb to them, you lose track of them. But depending on the habit, when you become aware, they can improve your character, they can improve your personality, they can improve your behavior, they can be positive, and therefore knowing your habits can be a positive influence for you and those around you. I hope that you have a great day. I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow.